Musophobia, conquering the fear of mice and rats. Hey there, welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, we dive deep into the world of human fears, exploring what scares us and why. Today's video is all about musophobia, the fear of mice and rats. If you find our content helpful, make sure to hit that subscribe button and notification bell so you never miss an episode. Now, let's get into today's topic. Imagine this. Sarah from Portland is relaxing in her living room, scrolling through social media, when suddenly a tiny gray mouse scurries across her floor. In an instant, her heart races. She jumps onto the couch and lets out a blood-curdling scream. Her husband rushes in, thinking there's an intruder, only to find Sarah pointing frantically at the corner where the mouse disappeared. "It's just a tiny mouse," he says, confused by her extreme reaction. But for Sarah, it's not just a mouse. It's a trigger for one of her deepest fears, musophobia. Musophobia, the irrational fear of mice and rats, affects millions of Americans and people worldwide. While it might seem amusing to those who don't experience it, for sufferers like Sarah, the fear is very real and can be debilitating. Today, we're going to explore why this fear exists, how it manifests, and most importantly, how to overcome it. Understanding musophobia. Musophobia comes from the Greek words muso, meaning mouse or rat, and phobia, meaning fear. Unlike a simple dislike or disgust, a phobia is an anxiety disorder characterized by an excessive and persistent fear of a specific object or situation. For someone with musophobia, even seeing an image of a mouse or rat can trigger intense anxiety. The mere thought of encountering one can lead to rapid heartbeat, shortness of breath, sweating, trembling, nausea, dizziness, an overwhelming urge to escape, panic attacks. Take Mike from Chicago, for example. As a construction worker, he regularly encounters rodents on job sites. His musophobia became so severe that he had to change careers after having a panic attack that sent him to the emergency room when a rat ran across his boot. The origins of mouse and rat phobia. So why are so many people afraid of these small creatures? There are several factors that contribute to musophobia. 1. Evolutionary survival mechanism. Our ancient ancestors learned to fear rodents for good reason. Throughout human history, rats and mice have been associated with disease and destruction. The Black Death, which killed approximately 1/3 of Europe's population in the 14th century, was spread by fleas carried by rats. Our brains may be hardwired to view these animals as threats to our survival. 2. Cultural conditioning. Think about how mice and rats are portrayed in our culture. From children's stories to movies, they're often depicted as dirty, disease-carrying pests. Remember the rat in Ratatouille? Even though Remy was the hero, the movie acknowledged society's disgust toward rats. These cultural messages reinforce the idea that rodents should be feared. 3. Traumatic experiences. Many cases of musophobia can be traced back to a specific traumatic encounter. Jennifer from Austin developed her fear at age 7 when she woke up to find a mouse running across her pillow. 20 years later, she still sleeps with her hair completely covered. 4th, learned behavior. Children often learn fears from their parents or other influential adults. If a child sees their parents screaming and jumping on furniture when a mouse appears, they're likely to develop the same fear response. Real-life impact. For those who don't have this phobia, it might be difficult to understand just how much it can affect daily life. Let me share a few real stories. The teacher's dilemma. Lisa, an elementary school teacher from Denver, faced a career crisis when her school decided to get a class pet, a white mouse named Snowball. Despite loving her job, Lisa found herself unable to enter the classroom. She would break into cold sweats just thinking about being in the same room as the mouse. Eventually, she had to request a transfer to another grade level, disrupting her career path and causing significant stress. The relationship test. Mark and Jessica from Seattle nearly broke up over his collection of pet rats. Jessica's severe musophobia made it impossible for her to visit Mark's apartment. When they decided to move in together, Mark had to find new homes for his beloved pets. This created resentment that took months of couples therapy to resolve. The homeowner's nightmare. David from Boston paid thousands of dollars to move out of his newly purchased home for 3 months, while extensive rodent proofing was done. After spotting a single mouse in his kitchen, his musophobia made it impossible for him to sleep in the house. The financial strain and stress significantly impacted his mental health. The science behind the fear. What's happening in the brain when musophobia strikes? When someone with this phobia encounters a mouse or rat, or even thinks about one, their amygdala, the brain's fear center, goes into overdrive. The brain releases stress hormones like adrenaline and cortisol, triggering the fight or flight response. This is why people with musophobia experience physical symptoms like racing heart, sweating, and trembling. Their rational brain knows a tiny mouse poses little actual threat, but the emotional brain overrides this logic. Interestingly, brain scans of people with specific phobias show increased activity in areas associated with disgust when they're exposed to the object of their fear. This suggests that for many with musophobia, the reaction isn't just fear, it's also a powerful disgust response. Breaking down common misconceptions. Before we talk about treatment, let's address some misconceptions about musophobia. Misconception number 1, it's just an overreaction. Phobias are recognized psychological conditions, not character flaws or signs of weakness. The fear response is involuntary and often beyond the person's control. Misconception number 2, just face your fear and you'll get over it. While exposure therapy is effective, suddenly forcing someone with severe musophobia to hold a mouse could be traumatizing and counterproductive. Treatment needs to be gradual and controlled. Misconception. Number 3, mice and rats are dirty and disease-ridden, so the fear is rational. While wild rodents can carry disease, the risk to the average person is quite low, especially in modern homes. The fear response in musophobia is disproportionate to the actual threat. Treatment approaches. Now for the good news, musophobia is highly treatable. Here are the most effective approaches. 1. Cognitive behavioral therapy, CBT. CBT helps people identify and challenge irrational thoughts about mice and rats. A therapist might help you reframe thoughts like, if I see a mouse, I'll die of fear, to something more realistic like, seeing a mouse will make me uncomfortable, but I can handle it. 2nd, exposure therapy. This involves gradually exposing yourself to mice or rats in a controlled environment. The process might look like this: looking at cartoon images of mice, viewing photographs of real mice, watching videos of mice, being in the same room as a caged mouse, getting closer to the cage, eventually, perhaps even touching or holding a mouse. Each step is practiced until anxiety subsides before moving to the next level. 3. Virtual reality therapy. For those who aren't ready for actual exposure, virtual reality provides a safe alternative. Programs can simulate mouse encounters while the person practices relaxation techniques. 4. Medication. Anti-anxiety medications can help manage symptoms during treatment, though they're typically not a standalone solution. 5. Relaxation techniques. Learning deep breathing, progressive muscle relaxation, and mindfulness can help control the physical symptoms of anxiety when triggered. Success stories. Let's look at some inspiring stories of people who've overcome musophobia. The scientist's journey. Dr. Rachel Thompson from San Francisco had such severe musophobia that she would avoid visiting friends who lived in older buildings. Ironically, she became a biologist, and her research eventually required her to work with lab mice. Through 6 months of intensive therapy, she gradually overcame her fear. Today, she handles mice daily in her research on Alzheimer's disease. I still remember the first time I held a mouse without gloves, she says. My hands were shaking, but I did it. Now it's just part of my routine. If someone had told me 5 years ago that I'd be doing this, I would have thought they were crazy. The farmer's transformation. Tom, a farmer from rural Nebraska, developed musophobia after finding rats in his grain storage as a child. For years, he hired others to handle potential rodent situations on his farm, an expensive and impractical solution. After undergoing exposure therapy with a psychologist who specialized in phobias, Tom can now set and check his own traps. I won't say I love seeing them, Tom admits, but the panic is gone. It no longer controls my life or my livelihood. DIY strategies for managing musophobia. While professional help is often necessary for severe phobias, there are steps you can take on your own. 1. Educate yourself. Learning about mice and rats, their behavior, habits, and the actual, rather than perceived, risks they pose can help demystify them. Knowledge is power when fighting irrational fears. 2. Start a fear ladder. Create your own exposure hierarchy, listing mouse-related scenarios from least to most frightening. Work your way up gradually, staying with each step until your anxiety decreases. 3. Use visualization. Practice imagining mice in a controlled way while using relaxation techniques. Visualize yourself remaining calm during an encounter. 4th challenge. Negative thoughts. When fearful thoughts arise, question them. What's the evidence? What's the worst that could happen? How likely is that? What would I tell a friend with this fear? 5th, recruit support. Having an understanding friend or family member to help you through exposure exercises can make them more manageable. Prevention. Helping children avoid developing musophobia. If you're a parent, you can help prevent musophobia in your children. 1. Model calm behavior around mice or rats. 2. Avoid transferring your own fears. 3. Introduce children to positive rodent characters in books and movies. 4. Consider classroom pets or visits to pet stores to normalize these animals. 5. Correct misconceptions about rodents when they arise. When mice actually are a problem, it's important to distinguish between musophobia and legitimate concerns about rodent infestations. If you do have mice or rats in your home, 1. Contact professional pest control services. 2. Seal entry points around your home. 3. Keep food in sealed containers. 4. Maintain cleanliness, especially in kitchen areas. 5. Consider humane traps if you prefer not to harm the animals. Addressing an actual infestation can help reduce anxiety by giving you a sense of control over the situation. The bigger picture. What phobias teach us. Phobias like musophobia reveal something fascinating about human psychology, how our minds can transform minor threats into seemingly life-or-death situations. By understanding and overcoming these fears, we gain insight into our own minds and develop greater resilience. As psychologist Dr. James Wilson from NYU explains, when someone overcomes a specific phobia, they often experience growth that extends beyond that particular fear. They develop confidence in their ability to face other challenges in life. Conclusion. If you're struggling with musophobia, remember that you're not alone and your fear is not silly or irrational. It's a real psychological condition that affects many people. More importantly, with the right approach and support, you can overcome it. Think about what life would be like without this fear. No more scanning rooms for tiny movements. No more avoiding certain places. No more panic attacks triggered by a small creature that means you no harm. That freedom is possible. Whether you choose professional therapy, self-help strategies, or a combination of approaches, taking that first step toward facing your fear is an act of courage, and each small victory along the way is worth celebrating. Thank you so much for watching today's video on musophobia. If you found this helpful, please give it a thumbs up and share it with someone who might benefit. Don't forget to subscribe for more content about understanding and overcoming our deepest fears. What phobia would you like to see covered next? Let me know in the comments below. Until next time, take care.